Good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is where you're at. This is Midnight's Edge After Dark. My name is Tom Connors. With me today, is always, is Mecha Random 42. How are you doing?
I am doing great.
Fantastic. And we have a special guest with us. We love having Gary on. Gary, of course, you will know him from Nerdrodic. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing great. Hail, Tom. Hail, Random.
Hail, Gary.
Hail, Gary.
Midnighters.
Whoa,
how's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's going. We got some crazy news today, it seems like. So we're going to chit-chat a little bit about that. Then maybe if we got some time, we'll talk to we always talk to the chat questions at the end and stuff like that sometimes. So hello, everybody out there listening. Looks like we got a few of you out there. I see Gino X and Kush Narula and Plays with Squirrels. I do that sometimes too in the chat. Kellen O'Rourke, but they tell you not to keep playing with the squirrels after like the third or fourth rabies shot and rabies treatment, because that gets expensive and tedious, and the doctors don't like that. So
the doctors are the squirrels.
Yeah, good question.
No, anyway, so yeah, we got some squirrels to start off with. James Gunn's back with a vengeance, I guess. Yeah, you could call it that. Rumors were swirling for a while that James had been in talks with Warner Brothers and DC after his being fired from Disney a few months back. And I guess those rumors were true, because it turns out as soon as he left Disney, Warner swooped in and scooped him up. As of right now, he's reported to be writing Suicide Squad 2, or at least we'll call it a sequel to Suicide Squad 2 for now. We'll get into that a little bit. And also possibly directing. So I know, Mecha, you're not as big of a comic book fan, so let's start with you real quick. What's your feelings on this real quick, and then we'll get to Gary.
I think that he could only help Suicide Squad. If there's anything aside, he's very well received as far as like his writing. I think that the writing, even if it doesn't have his name attached to it, if he like ghost wrote or something, would probably be better, because I know so many people are so anti James Gunn because of all the crazy nonsense that's been going on. But I think it would probably help the franchise, just with leaving out all the tweets, leaving out all the crazy stuff. I think it would probably help.
I agree with that completely. I think they, without knowing anything, just off the top of my head, I think they announced him as a writer to see how the public feels about it. They're running up the flagpole, see who salutes, and then they will later announce him as director, because he would be, I mean, again, like you said, Random, tweets aside, that argument is like done. And refer to old Midnight's Edge videos and Mecha Random videos on that subject, for me anyway. But I think he'd be very good for this franchise. It's a great concept. It's the losers concept. It's the forgotten, the criminals, and they didn't even do that. And the first movie was a hot mess. I don't think he can do anything but make it better. I know some people are upset that he's coming back, and that they have the right to be that way, and I understand. But just from a creative aspect, it's hilarious, because DC and Marvel, you comic fans out there know this. They're at each other's throats all the time. They're always stealing creators from each other, and making a big deal about it. And it has crossed over into film now, the Marvel and DC war, which actually only helps fans, because it makes things better eventually. So I think this is a huge, get for DC. But somebody pointed out in my chat earlier, which was a great point, is like Joss Whedon didn't work out so well. So we'll see. Well,
yeah, I think to be fair though, Joss Whedon really didn't write like the most well-received superhero movies of like the past decade. Because I know Guardians of the Galaxy has the hugest fans, like the most diehard fans. People always say that's their favorite of the Marvel movies. Even people who aren't huge superhero fans, they love, they always say, I love Deadpool and I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm not a huge comic book movie fan or superhero fan. So yeah, I think from a writing perspective, sure.
Joss Whedon wrote the Avengers. So I mean, he wrote the Avengers, and that changed the face of comic book movies forever. But he also wrote Age of Ultron, which sucked. So you have your good days and your bad days. And James Gunn, also did Slither, which is a movie I like, but not everybody did, considering how well it did at the box office. So
same thing with Super, yeah.
And Super, yes.
which I
forget
love
about
that movie, but that
Yeah, I
third
do too.
act takes a very dark turn. It's almost like, this is two different movies here all of a sudden, you know? But anyway, no, you guys are both right to a point. Andre and a few other people feel that he should have been up for Booster Gold instead. I also think it's kind of ironic that Suicide Squad stole a lot from Guardians of the Galaxy in the first place. I mean, if you watch that first trailer, it feels so much like the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's and it wasn't anything like the movie. So whoever that trailer house was who cut that, they should be applauded.
well, I
for
believe the
making,
trailer house is the same people.
Really? Yeah, I'm
thinking.
not surprised.
Because that movie has so many different editors and things go on with it, and David Ayer's issues, and it's just so funny that all of a sudden now, and here's the thing, we're also hearing rumors that this is not necessarily a direct sequel to Suicide Squad, but it may even be a rebuild from the ground up. So that could be different. It may not even be necessarily connected to the other Suicide Squad. I mean, I'm sure it will in some way, maybe, but very loosely, perhaps. What do you think about that, Gary, being a big comic book fan?
That would be confusing. That would be confusing to the normal audience completely. I don't know if I'd go that route, but you know, they don't listen to me. I would take, because there was good elements within Suicide Squad. It was executed horribly, but you take Margot Robbie, and you know, a couple other things, but not much. And then, you know, it's a Suicide Squad. You could oh my god, I'm forgetting his name now, the guy from Alter Carbon. You bring him in and ditch the rest, and you could just change out the team and just never refer to them. If they want to do that, then that's fine, but definitely keep Margot Robbie.
I'm curious because they have a Joker and Harley Quinn project already in the works as well. And I think Margot's also supposed to be in Gotham City Sirens, or did that change?
Last time I heard, she was supposed to be in it. And then they were supposed to do the Joker Harley Quinn movie. Then it's Gotham City Sirens.
So I'm not even sure if they'll have much to do with a Suicide Squad too. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is, like, you might be right. It might be a completely new team.
Yeah, and they could do that, and they could still keep it Joel Kinnaman. Sorry, I like Joel Kinnaman in it. But
thank you, Mary.
It's they could change out the team, not refer to the other one as much, and it would probably work. But it's, you know, I hate it when they reimagine stuff so soon, you know, that it really just damage to the brand, and they have to consider that. They're always worried about that.
Right.
That's why they won't let the TV shows do certain stuff. And,
right.
You know, I don't know. DC's still all over the place. They're trying to like circle the wagons. They got James Wan in there, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. But this, you know, as good as this is, there's still a hot mess over there. And somebody brought it up in my chat that this is still a DC universe. We're going ahead with basically no Superman, which I can't get my head around.
They're trying to replace Superman with Supergirl.
Okay.
Because Supergirl was received fairly well on television. And for some reason, they think it'll help with the diversity issue, I'm sure. And with Cavill wanting more money than they're willing to give him, it's just the way they're probably going to go forward with it, I bet. They're not going to recast Superman anytime soon. I don't see that.
I think not.
Yeah. I liked Cavill as Superman. He just didn't get a good script.
Yeah.
But Supergirl is I'm sorry, she's boring. She's boring. She's already had a TV show, and it's like it does okay. It's not a runaway hit. It had to change networks. It was on CBS, a major network, and it had to go to CW, and it does CW ratings, which are pretty solid, but they don't really go up, you know. And there's other female characters they can do all day long over there in the DC universe that would be much better.
I guess it depends to me on which version of Supergirl it is, to a point. Like if it's an older version or if it's the younger version, and it doesn't really matter. Like you said, the DC universe is screwed. They're gonna jump on the Batman bandwagon. Anything that can connect to Batman, they're doing. Seems like to me, and we'll get into more of that here in a little bit too, because that has to do with CW show, but it's still Batman related.
Yeah.
They have a Batman problem over at DC. They rely on him way too much. They're stretching the Batman universe way too thin, if you ask me. What's your opinion on that, Gary?
Oh, they rely on him way too much without actually using him.
Exactly.
God damn it. And you know what I hear, what you hear in your chat, what Random hears in her chat, and Doomcock and everybody is, why don't we make a Batman like the animated series? Why don't we get Paul Dini and Bruce Timm over and make, because that is a definitive Batman, and,
Right.
and they just never do it. They never, it's what every fan has asked for. And those would be the guys, you just bring them in, if anything, as consultants. They are Batman geniuses as far as I'm concerned, and they're in-house. They're right there. And they won't do it. That shows you the lack of understanding Warner Brothers has for all their characters, right down to freaking Looney Tunes and everything they have. Yeah.
Well, no, Wonder Woman was a hit, so everything they're going to do is try and lean more that direction. I guarantee.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question though. So you say they're in-house. Would they be part of a different branch though, being associated with the other versus like the television? Like if they're part of like the comics and animated branch, would they be under like a different sort of, under a different bucket, as it were?
Yeah, it's a different division. It's the television or animated.
I was going to say, yeah. As far as I know, Warner Brothers all split up. DC isn't like all under one roof, and that because people have told me that, like, and I'm sure Gary knows this as well, is like that, like he just said, they have a television division, they have a children's division, they have or family division, they have the motion picture division, they have this division, that division, and they all stay separate. They don't usually tend to work together. Like the DC people had to basically beg the children's division to get the fucking Batman animated series on Blu-ray. That's how bad it was, because they were in control of it, not DC. DC kept saying, you guys are throwing away money. Get it out there. People are clamoring for it. They want it. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll put it out on the Warner Archive. And then I think they quietly changed their mind on that, because it seems like it's going to be released everywhere. And then also just happened to be that the DC service was coming into effect, so that helped. Because other than that, I don't think we would have got it. But anyway, Gary, yeah, go ahead.
No,
sorry.
You're right. And I love when they finally come around to getting it on Blu-ray when 4K is rolling around. So I don't know if we're going to get a 4K version or not. I didn't see that, but
I don't know if it's necessary, but
it's in-house, and I'm still a little confused how the DC streaming service plays in all this. I'm sure the movies are separate from that, but what I mean by they work at the same company, so they could definitely bring them over, and their understanding of Batman is second to none as far as telling a serialized story on film or video or television. God, I've read. So Paul Dini writes great comics. He writes great television. He's great. So, and he's there, and he's not even a huge name. He wouldn't be that expensive. It's like Dave Filoni with Star Wars.
The animated movies and stuff yet?
What was that?
Does Paul Dini still work on the animated movies and stuff there yet?
He does some, and he's had a couple of stinkers. I mean, we'll admit it, but he writes a lot of stuff. It can't all be great, so. That's my guy. That's
I think it was on your show, and I said that too. If they did a Batman live action series, it'd be the #1 series in television, period.
Yeah, a live action. Yeah, we were talking about that. A live action Batman where it's detective focused, so you don't have to have a ton of special effects. You dumb down you make a great set for the Batcave, a good Batmobile, a good rogues gallery of villains, which we've seen they can do on Gotham. And yeah, that show would run for a decade and get millions of viewers and just make them shitloads of money in merchandising and toys and everything. And they just let's get Batwoman on CW, please.
So yeah, let's move into that. That's a perfect segue. Random, let's start with you on this. We got a picture of Batwoman today. What do you think?
I like the costume, actually. I'm not the hugest like superhero fan, like I've said, but no, I like the costume. It actually looks pretty functional. I don't know if you have it on screen or anything.
Working on it.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of nice and movable, or like breathable, like a nylon spandex, sort of like workout clothes, and it looks like it would be functional. You could actually kick butt in it. It looks, I like the color scheme. I like the red bat symbol, if I'm remembering it right. God, I just saw it. I'm actually looking for a picture of it myself here. Let me Google it. I looked at it earlier, and it actually didn't look too bad. You know, it's got nice kind of. I like the cape quite a bit. It kind of reminds me more of almost goth, sort of, almost like an Elvira sort of cape than anything. And you know, yeah, it looks nice. It looks pretty comfortable.
There's a lot of people comparing it to one of the versions of the comic book. Gary, you might know something a little bit more about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit like her comic version. The cape is a little shorter. There's a little bit of a homage to the 66 Batgirl in there, especially with that cape. That's kind of where I get that feel.
I'm not sure about the hair.
The hair is a wig, obviously. It looks weird. It looks weird in that picture, right? The Photoshop, man.
That part looks bad. Otherwise, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine. By the way, I'm offering my services to anybody out there. I noticed especially Entertainment Weekly is really bad at getting head sizes down and shrinking hips on Captain Marvel. I know how to do that stuff. I'm very inexpensive. With this, it's the costume looks great. Everything looks fine. But it's going to be on the CW, so she will be sitting in a hallway talking about her feelings out of costume. They'll be calling her by her first name. And occasionally we might see her in this great costume, you know,
once an episode, maybe
once an episode, right about the 45-minute mark, right when Hulk used to Hulk out in the Hulk show.
Well, at least we got him twice a show.
Yes, that's true.
Each commercial break, the first and last commercial breaks. But yeah, the Flash, they kind of did that. I don't think there was a lot of episodes, I think, of the Flash where we didn't see the Flash of the 90s Flash. Until like 5 minutes into some of the episodes.
No, that was at least we knew it's like I can dip out for a second, and we could.
I think that was mostly financial.
Yeah.
Tiberius Monk 84, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hello, me. James Gunn joining DC is the best news I've heard from WBDC in a very long time. Make James in charge of the DC cinematic universe. That's not a horrible, probably idea. I'm not necessarily sure he's the guy for that job, but couldn't do any worse than what they have been doing. That's for sure.
I think at this point, I think they have a guy in charge who they trust, but I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted him in charge at some point.
Especially if this movie works out, that's for sure. Yeah. And even Andre said he was upset that Sony didn't try and get him involved in he'd love to see him do Venom versus Carnage and stuff, he said, and a few other things. So
your Sony video that you guys did was great, by the way. Check it out. It's just a little background on Venom.
We're very proud of that.
Oh, that was good. And so they basically just dusted off an old movie and brought it out, and that's how they were able to do it in a year. Because I kept wondering, like, how do you do a movie in a year, even like a mediocre one? Like, how's that possible?
Well, they did a rewrite, but it was just basically to take out anything that probably referred to Spider-Man and rework a few things, and bam, bam. You know, I'm sure that's all it was.
Yeah, probably.
Couldn't be any worse than Goyer's script was back in '97. Oh, I can't imagine how bad that would have been.
Goyer
that too would have had no.
No, sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say Goyer's the worst.
Yeah, basically the same kind of thing. But I was going to say, I think that one was meant to be Spider-Man-less too. So,
did you actually see Venom yet, Tom?
No, I'm working on it though. Hopefully, sometime this week. Probably tomorrow or something like that, because Halloween doesn't come out until the 18th, so I got another week yet to see Venom. So this next weekend will be a big test for Venom, because I don't think there's much coming up against it this second weekend. So we'll see. But back on Batgirl, well, of course, there's not much to say other than it looks good. So I mean, we'll see if the show's any good, but you know. So anyway,
is that show going on CW or is it DC streaming?
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good question. If anybody out there knows, otherwise we'd have to look it up real quick. I thought that was supposed to be in with the CW shows because
it's going to be. The Elseworlds premieres on the CW Sunday, December 9th.
So it's gonna be CW. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I thought she was supposed to be doing a crossover episode with them. That's why I figured. Or at least that's what I heard. I don't know. I fell out of the CW stuff a long time ago. And it's not that I hated it or disliked it so much. It's just they got so excessive. And it was like you almost had to keep up with every one of the shows to know what was going on, especially when they did a crossover. And Arrow really got kind of really soap opera-y for me. And I fell out like fourth season. Flash I still keep up with, but I generally wait till the seasons are out on Blu-ray and then I just binge. Supergirl, I left off somewhere after the first season and never really picked it back up. And Legends of Tomorrow, I catch up here and there, but you guys don't even really discuss the CW shows over there, do you?
No.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I don't like them. It sucks. I know Dennis still likes them and he watches all of them. Supergirl's one of his favorite shows, and but yeah, I dipped out Arrow when it got too soapy, and Flash when it got too soapy, and now they're all too soapy for me, and the dialogue is just god awful. I can't listen to 45 minutes of that stuff.
They had to ruin Flash on me. It was so good.
It was good. They all started. Arrow started out great. But yeah,
as I always say, I loved Arrow, or I loved Iron Fist the first time when it was called Arrow. You know, it was like they did everything there.
I saw what you did there. Yeah, if you just watched season 1 of Arrow and then just jumped over to season 4 or 5, you would go, "This is not the same show."
No, and that's the way it started feeling. Because when it started getting into his kid, and people kept coming back from the dead, it was like it got a little.
Felicity Smoke, the whole drama with that, and it just turned into a big who's shipping who, and that's what it all turned into. They gave her like a major character change too. All of a sudden, she's like, who she is, and then they give her like they turn her into like this jealousy kind of. I don't know. It's like it was too much. You're right, and God, I have a reason to watch Legends of Tomorrow because I love Constantine. I love Matt Ryan as Constantine, but then I watched him in one episode, and I'm like, oh, this is CW Constantine, and it hurt my brain. He's one of my favorite characters, and to see him fucked with
I suppose Andre wouldn't like that then too, because I think he's a big fan, or was.
Yeah, it's not Constantine. It's PG-13 bubblegum Constantine.
Well, there's a market for that stuff, I suppose. I mean,
there is.
Yeah, if you're 12.
I know.
Well, I was looking up ratings today while you guys are chatting.
And to answer kind of your question earlier, I don't know for sure if this is the answer, but I believe that the streaming service is mainly being run by the television department, if I'm not mistaken. So because I think a lot of those shows are being run by the same people. I'd have to look for sure, but
yeah, Greg Berlanti's name is
I think that's who I think he is. Yeah. Tim Augustine, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Makes up for us not being monetized. What's everyone's favorite superhero theme? Whistle it. Also, a Star Trek question. How round is Admiral Andre's head? I really do not know how round it is, to be honest with you.
You've never measured it?
No. And favorite, it's the same. Yeah, I don't measure other things in life too because I don't want to get disappointed. But anyway. I guess I'll have to whistle the Superman theme here. Yeah, there you go. I'm too sick to be whistling. Random, you're next.
I can't whistle. I can't whistle. What's the theme? I don't know. I don't think I know any off the top of my head, even because they all blend together. It always turns into Star Wars.
I thought you'd at least like the old Tim Burton Batman theme, maybe.
Oh, I can't even remember how it goes. I remember more of Bat Dance, to be honest. Which is sad.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why I was going to cartoon theme. You're going to like best superhero theme.
Well, period. I guess it doesn't really matter.
I don't know why. I didn't know. I just my brain selectively hears shit. By the way, Ryan Johnson's head is 24,901 miles.
That's Ryan Johnson's.
Yes. Ryan Johnson's.
He asked Admiral Andres, but we already knew about Ryan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's way big, way big.
Yeah, it would be the same as yours.
You can do it much better than me right now.
You just put your lips together and blow.
Yeah, I think James Williams' Superman score is really hard to beat. I mean, that's kind of the quintessential.
Can we count the old Batman 60s show?
Oh yeah.
Which I don't want to sing and get copyright for it, but you guys all know it.
Batman.
One of the easiest things to play on guitar.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as cartoon though, it's a tough one because the original Spider-Man cartoon and then Puffy Amiyumi's fucking Teen Titans Go. I love that theme so much.
I always loved the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme as far as that goes too.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Yeah,
I mean it's pretty catchy. So yeah, those are all good answers.
Are they superheroes though?
Oh yeah,
maybe?
They're technically they're comic book superheroes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're offshoots of Daredevil, so their origin is tied with his anyway, even though it's not legally tied.
Has anybody made like a pseudo scientific formula for what makes a superhero? Like you require an origin, a hero's journey. One of your parents needs to die, or a relative. You need to let somebody down, and then you need to make your own costume, or somebody makes it for you. Is it tech? I don't know. Has somebody done that already?
I'm sure somebody has.
Well, because that's the thing, is Batman technically considered a superhero because he has no superpowers.
Yeah, well, that's what's part of the formula. Is if you don't have superpowers, you have to have like 5 of the 10 requirements. Like, okay, both of his parents died, so that's 2 points. Something like that.
Yeah, well, he has the money to make his stuff, though. Yeah.
This sounds like a book you should write, Gary.
Oh, yeah. TM.
There you go. Make some notes. Sell that shit on Amazon. Tina BB, I don't know how to say it. BB? Tina BB says, Mecha Random Nerdrodic channel and Midnight Edge. That one episode I liked from Legends of Tomorrow was when they screwed up the timeline and George Lucas became an insurance agent. Somebody told me I should check that one out.
The Legends of Tomorrow could be fun once in a while, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I like I said, I'll catch a few here and there, and I like the concept, but half the characters they got on there I don't like, and it's not okay. It's not so much I don't like the character. I don't like the version of them from where they, I'm not going to name names or anything. I'm just saying it's like, it's certain ones are just kind of, and then the storylines, it just depends. It all depends. Like that one seems like it'd be interesting, but some of the other ones just seem like that.
Well, they have great characters and great potential, but then I tune in to watch like the Constantine episode, and it's White Canary and the head of security for that one agency basically, flirting for an entire episode until they finally make out, which is great, awesome. But I'm watching a superhero show.
I will say that's one thing that bothers me about a lot of the crossovers on CW is that it seems like when whatever character is coming onto a different show, they don't really act like the character for some reason. You know what I mean? They just feel off. I don't know.
No, it's like they act like it's tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
They don't take the character serious anymore. And that's what happened is, in the beginning of Arrow, that looked like a serious show that was trying to go kind of Dark Knight on us. And now it's like tongue in cheek, like, hey, we're just kind of cosplaying and winking at the camera. And it's.
Oh, yeah. Well, I totally expected when they started doing the Flashpoint right off the bat. I'm like, okay, I can see where they're going. Instead of having Batman, though, they're going to have, Oliver stand in for Bruce Wayne, and they'll have his dad be, Arrow in the alternate universe and blah, blah, blah. I figured that's what they do.
Yeah, and then calling my biggest problem. This is super nerd here. Is I hated they called the show Arrow. Right, he's Green Arrow. That's what he is. True. And they couldn't even go there. So
yeah, I think they're trying to be hip.
Oh, it's so hip to be semi-comic.
It's so hip.
Hip. Whatevs.
Yeah,
that's what they say on the CW. Whatevs.
Oh,
is that what they say? Oh boy. Well, I know you want to get going here pretty soon, Gary, because you've got some homework to do before work tonight, I think you said. But we'll stick around for a few minutes if that's all right, and take some questions from the crowd.
Sure, as long as you like. I'm good. But I know you're not. Tom is a warrior, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is a live streaming warrior. Give him credit.
Well, it's a war, my friend. It's definitely a war sometimes.
YouTube against its own content creators. Who would win? YouTube, probably.
CD Horde says CD CW shows dark, literally no lighting except Supergirl. Well, I remember Flash being a little bit more lighter. Did they darken that too? Did they get too DC Universe dark?
No, they're lit really dark. So many things are lit really dark. I'm noticing like a bunch of the Netflix shows. I could barely. I was watching Man in the High Castle. I could barely see that shit. I don't know what the hell's going on with the lighting. Like, they want to put some kind of filter on it or something. But yeah, it's getting. Venom was shot pretty dark as well for reasons.
Well, do they have like flashes of light and loud sounds so you know when to look up from your phone? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a great one.
So that's why they're dark then.
Pretty soon it'll just be a signal. Look up from your phone now.
I know.
I just figured they're trying to save on light bills.
They might be.
Tim Augustine, Rob is at his trivia night tonight. So that is why he's not with us. Taking dark and edgy to a whole new level, right?
God, yeah, the Supergirl ratings don't change. They're 0.5.
That's not a bad thing.
No, they don't go down. They don't go up, but they don't go down. It's weird. It's very consistent. I guess that's all you can ask for with a show like that, especially 3 years in. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the ratings weren't good for CBS, but they were good for CW by far. So, I'm willing to bet that's isn't that one of the top ones, if not the top one of their shows, or is Flash?
It kind of looks like Supergirl is Flash and Supergirl. Arrow's kind of tanking it right now, but they all get like 1 point. A point 5.4 in the 18 to 49 demo. That's pretty good for CW.
It's not too bad, especially when when on show and CW doesn't have the reach a lot of the networks do, because I don't even have where I'm at. They don't have CW in the standard in any of the cable packages. I'd have to. I don't even think I can get it here, to be honest with you. I've always had to watch them through Hulu. So.
That's so weird. That's so weird. Like, weird. Why? Well, I guess you could watch CW. Isn't it still kind of one of those that you can pick up through those antennas?
It's still broadcast, yeah, but the closest one to me is not nearly within vicinity to get on any kind of antenna. So, yeah, it's still pretty sparse because they had, I don't remember how many they had. It was the Paramount Network and the Warner Brothers channel or whatever the hell it was called, and then they merged together, but I think Warner Brothers owns more of them, and then Paramount sold their part off and they started their own network again, whatever they turned that one channel into it, Paramount Spike or whatever they turned into the Paramount Network. So yeah, I have no idea how many stations they have, but I'm sure it's probably half of what Fox does.
Oh yeah, there was no I don't know if it's still the case, but Dennis is down in San Diego, and there was no CW in San Diego, which isn't the biggest media market in the world, but it is a city of with 4 million people in the general area.
Yeah,
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you would think there would be one in San Diego for sure. Oh, there you have it. So that's why that's a really good point, because most of that probably comes through cable. So.
They're staying there, and there's merchandise. They're still making tons of money off this. So it's not, I don't know about superhero fatigue yet.
I think it's just bad movie fatigue.
Yeah.
Agreed.
People watch anything if it's good. And
not only that, just big movie fatigue. Because we never had so many big movies at once come out as we have in the last few years. We were lucky to get 1 or 2 big $100 million movies in that region, for years, and then all of a sudden every movie's $200 million.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you expect to maintain that? Regardless of how many videos you expect to sell. That's just insane. What movie it is.
And they've got bigger competition now.
Yeah.
Well, remember back like a long time ago, you would have here's the major, big, huge movie from Steven Spielberg. It's Jurassic Park, and then you would have 1 or 2 a year, not one every week.
Yeah, just about. That's what I'm saying. We used to get the big movies every once in a while in the summer, here and there on the holidays, But for somebody to spend that kind of money on a movie was very rare, even up through the last, up until the Marvel days is pretty much when it kind of changed. But even then, for a while, not every studio was making that kind of movie, and even the first few Marvel movies weren't that expensive. They didn't start spending the big money until the Avengers. So I don't know. They need to slow down. It's not necessary. There's no reason Solo needed to cost as much as it did. There's no reason that even The Last Jedi needed to cost as much as it did.
Oh, not at all. No. Especially Solo, because it doesn't look like it was expensive. It looks so cheap. It looks like some crappy thing that they filmed for TV with that
shot
filter.
in no time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It was shot in TV time.
Yeah.
It was like shot quicker than shit. And like I said, the only way I could see them breaking even on that movie is if they got some kind of insurance kickback. There's no other way.
Yeah.
Disney made their money. They had to have. Because the movie was over $200 million to begin with. And to reshoot it all over again, you're looking at least another 150 or better. Yeah. So right there, it's the same thing with Justice League. That's why that movie didn't break even. Because there was no way they were going to make that money back.
I wonder if insurance companies are kind of wary with working with Kathleen Kennedy now. I wonder if they charge a little more.
It depends on, I don't know exactly how all that works. Because I know a lot of times for insurance to pay on a movie, it doesn't get finished or released and stuff like that. I'm not sure I'm sure they have some type of coverage if you have to change a director or something like that per se, so far into production. But again, it would probably have to be so far into production. You may even know more about this, Gary, than I do as far as that goes. Seems like you kind of worked in some of the more like kind of inside areas there, but
I just work post in the backwaters of post. But I bet you there is a completion. What is that? Completion bonds.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a Kathleen Kennedy deductible involved in that, maybe. Well, Disney's got great credit, so I'm sure there's people just jumping to insure a Disney movie because they have a good track record. And they're probably just going to make a lot of money. I think they'd be wary with her working on it, but I don't think, as you guys have reported, she's going to be working on very much in the future anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, everybody's like, "Oh no, they gave her another 3-year contract, another 3-year contract." It's like, but really, what is she going to accomplish in that 3 years that isn't already in motion? That we don't already know about, that isn't already tainted. It's like, might as well just let her. And that's what's really happening is they don't want any, and nobody else wants the job probably. So they're just letting her, ride it out. Because Andre and I both said there's no way they're getting rid of her before episode 9. She's still involved with that. So they can't technically really. It's kind of like the whole Sony Amy Pascal thing. Yeah, you're fired, but we'll give you a fucking studio or a little office on the lot. You can do your thing out of there and leave us alone.
Then she takes over Spider-Man and they can't get rid of her. She's a stage 5 clinger. Yeah,
pretty much it. She took a book out of Avi Arad's playbook there, a page out of Avi Arad's playbook there. But yeah, you're probably right. I'm sure at this point between Rogue One and Solo and losing the directors they have so far. Yeah.
D&D Star Wars asks Ankush Narula. Sorry if I screwed up that name there. I would be wary of that, guys, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be very wary of that show. It's Jon Favreau. You can probably have some pretty decent faith in, but I wouldn't put too much faith into D&D unless they're adapting. Unless George R.R. Martin wrote a Star Wars script, and they're adapting it, or better yet, Ronald D. Moore had written a bunch of Star Wars scripts for the TV show for George Lucas. If they repurpose those, they're very good at adapting. That's what I'm trying to get to. But when they get on their own, not so great. Not so great.
Well, isn't it supposed to be a saga of movies, or is it a TV show?
Yes, sorry, I got those mixed
up. No, it's all right. I was just trying to clarify.
It is a saga of movies. So again, if they adapt somebody else's script, they're fine.
Right, but isn't it not supposed to be based on anything? Isn't it supposed to be set way out somewhere? And everybody's speculating it's the Old Republic.
Yeah, that's my guess. That would be fun. And they're thinking, well, these guys are great at adapting fantasy, and I just remind everybody, I sound like a broken record. These guys wrote Wolverine Origins. They're the ones who sealed Deadpool's mouth shut.
Yeah.
They were the
I
guys.
don't know how much they had to do with that or Rothman.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but they wrote us the script. Who knows what the finished version was, but their name was on it. So there you go.
The sad part is the whole thing with Deadpool's mouth was probably their thinking of way of getting around having him not swear, and not talk.
God. Rothman, dude, Rothman is unbelievable. No, but they're also responsible for Game of Thrones season 7.
Yeah. I have no real faith in Star Wars anymore. I'll be 100%.
It's kind of dead.
Yeah.
I've really kind of lost my taste for it.
I think a lot of people are at that now. We've gone through the 5 stages of grief and we're just kind of moving on.
Pretty much. I mean, it's like when people ask me what my favorite movie anymore, my jump to is what used to be Empire Strikes Back, which, don't get me wrong, it's still a great movie. But just, it's like that. I've come to that point where I've had to let go of Star Wars. So it's like not that big of a deal in my life anymore. That's what's weird. So it's like, yeah, it's still a great movie, but there's other things out there, it's not such important a deal in my life as maybe some of these other movies are now because of all the bullshit. And that's sad. It really is. It
is sad. It's like Random was talking about it in her great stream today. Please check it out, everybody. Talking about overplayed songs. And that's where Star Wars is Stairway to Heaven now. It's like, it's awesome, but I cannot hear it ever again. I can't watch it ever again. I've seen it hundreds of times, and it's just 2 movies. So, I mean,
but Led Zeppelin didn't make a bunch of bad albums after that, though.
That's true. No. Led Zeppelin didn't piss off anybody. John Bonham wasn't out there.
Guns N' Roses, maybe, or something like that. After Izzy and Slash left, then
yeah, that's true.
Or Metallica, even after the Black Album. Here we go.
Yeah, but I didn't listen to anything after the Black Album.
That's what I'm saying.
The Black Album,
that's like their peak. That's it. That's like after that, it's all downhill from there. So you're like, that's. I mean, either way, it's still a good analogy, no matter which way you look at it, because it's true. And just like I brought up in my one rant, how it's like, you just got, some people don't understand how you're like, it's like losing a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, and all these things that remind you of them just piss you off now or upset you or hurt you. And it's like, I get to a point where I'm just so sick of Star Wars just because of that. It's like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. I'm done with it. I'm tired of bitching about Luke. I'm tired. And here we are bitching about it again.
I know.
And it's like, I'm just tired of it. And it would be nice if we had something to look forward to, but it's like the Orville's not until January. Halloween might be
delayed.
Good.
I know, it's killing
Halloween
me.
might be good, but it's like, okay. And then December, I seen that extended trailer for Aquaman. I am not impressed. I'm sorry. If people are, that's great. But if he says badass more than 5 more times in every trailer, I'm really gonna lose it. I'm so sick of Sons of Aquamanarchy. I'm just Doomcock said it best. If you got to say badass in your trailer, that means your movie probably isn't very badass.
Great point.
I don't know. Did you see that extended trailer, Gary? How do you feel about it?
I have not seen the extended trailer. No, but I saw the first one, and Aquaman's a tough sell, folks. And I know DC fans are very passionate. Okay, so like sometimes if you even just slightly criticize the property, they start flipping out a little bit. But come on, guys. Aquaman's a tough sell. Like they made a whole HBO series pretty much making fun of it.
Yeah, because they thought they would never, ever, ever, ever make a movie of Aquaman. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
The world went meta on us. And here we are in this alternate dimension.
And I'd rather see that version of Aquaman, to be honest with you. I'll take Vinny Chase any day over Sons of Aquamanarchy. Now I can't even say it now, even though I made it up. Aquamanarchy and
Aquaman, you will believe a man can swim.
Exactly. There you go. Oh my God. I mean, what can he do?
Exactly.
Well, I know as I go throughout my day, I'm always going badass. For the live stream. Badass.
Missed opportunity. This motherfucker should be Lobo, and you got him playing Aquaman.
Right?
Aquaman of all.
I do a great parking job.
Sad. I like him. Like I liked him in Stargate Atlantis quite a bit. I don't care about Aquaman.
I'm sorry, Anthony Rapp should be playing Aquaman.
Kind of, yes. actually, yes. He would be perfect.
I'm here, guys. Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought you were. Did I hear you say that people were criticizing Star Trek Discovery?
This is
him in the
DC
panel.
now.
Oh my God! I thought he was going to fall out of his chair. Go back and watch that panel, folks. It's funny watching his body language.
He's cool. I mean, I can't imagine the hate that they get like as actors because
sure.
I've accidentally gotten into it with them because I get tagged, like they're tagged into stuff that I'm bitching about.
Personally, though,
I know, and he didn't write the fucking thing. I keep telling him, like, dude, you're a fine actor. I got nothing against you personally. You didn't write it though. That's the issue. I have the issue with the writing and the directing.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him that one day. I'm like, dude, you guys should know what this is like, especially Doug Jones, about how they treated him and Ron Perlman when it come to Hellboy 3 and now what they're doing to them. It's like, you guys should know. It's come on. It's like, just because you're a part of it doesn't mean you have to support it. Go to the writers and tell them this shit sucks. Just like both, which is funny because Jason Isaacs comes in and says, well, if you get a bad meal, do you go and yell at the chef? Yes, you do. Vicariously through the waiter. It's like, duh.
And then I watch him complete the remake of the meal so he doesn't spit in it. But yes, I don't yell. We can have a conversation first. We don't have to start with yelling. But that you guys aren't yelling at anybody.
No,
that's the thing is I see your tweets. It's not like you guys are all shouting people down. And no, they're defensive, and I understand it. I totally get it.
There's a few that play along though too, so it's all good.
But this is the internet. You got your big boy pants on, and this is 2018, and this is part of like your job now.
Yeah,
dealing with family.
We get criticized. We get criticized all the time too. So
like the one I just read you guys about somebody just bitching me out. Thumbs down, another closed-minded hater, blah blah blah. So what do? I say, well, thank you so much for the click. It actually helps the algorithm. This is YouTube. I'm gonna get people yelling and screaming at me and hating me. And I had somebody saying, "Oh my God, that red hair and a punchable face" or something yesterday. And I'm like, oh, threatening physical violence report. That's what you do. You don't really take it personally.
Who was threatening to punch random? Yeah, no.
Oh, I don't know. Some asshole.
Okay.
I know.
I don't think I've been threatened to be punched yet.
Oh, I have.
I've had people threatening to like kill my cat. I've had people, threatening to kill my moderators. Yeah.
I don't think I've had that bad. I've had some bad ones, but not that bad. I think people are afraid of Andre, so that's probably
as they should be. You are right to fear me. Sorry, it's a bad Andre impression. I gotta work on
that. Shit. He's got a good sense of humor, don't get me wrong.
Freaking love that dude. I love this channel. I've been showering you guys with love for a couple of years now.
Yeah, same here.
And I didn't even know because I thought, I seen you guys here and there, and I thought you guys were this big channel, Like,
oh, that's funny. Nope. No.
Well, you should be.
Thanks.
And we'll help you get there. So if you guys aren't subscribed, head on over to Nerdrodic and subscribe because they cover all kinds of great TV stuff. And you have like Friday Night Tights and all kinds of other great shows. And we even pop in the chats quite a bit. And
yeah, we'll have you guys on more in the future too. A lot more. We are dumping two TV shows though. We're dumping Manifest because it's awful, and The Gifted because it's awful. Yeah,
I thought Manifest started out really good from what you guys said.
It's well for us it did. We got like 9,000 views on that review, but then everybody dipped out, and I just looked at the ratings, and it's because everybody dipped out on the show after the first one. They're like, "Yeah, this sucks."
Oh wow,
yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad.
That sucks.
Don't waste your time. It's okay. You win some, you lose. The Orville will come back someday, and I will be happy.
Mm-hmm. It's in January, man. I can't wait. Is it February or is it January?
It starts December 30th. December 30th is the first episode, and it's going to run pretty much concurrent with Star Trek. So thank God we're going to have one to cleanse the palate from the other. Thank you, Seth MacFarlane.
I know. At least he's doing something good.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Orville action figures and ships and everything. I will just buy everything.
Oh,
because
I wasn't even think of that. That's great.
I have to support their channel. Like I have to have every action figure. Give me every single one. They won't though, probably.
It's Fox. It's hard to say.
I know.
They're weird with their merchandising. Although
Well,
Simpsons stuff is everywhere, but it took forever for that to happen too.
oh, yeah, I have Family Guy. I have Brian and Stewie plushies from Family Guy from 1998. And yeah, that was before any real merchandising happened. And they hit KB Toys, which was kind of like an outlet sort of clearancey sort of chain back then. And that's where I got them after Family Guy went off the air the first time. And then all of a sudden you have all kinds of Brian and Stewie and t-shirts and Family Guy everything under the sun. So now I don't feel so special about having them, but I have hung on to them for about 20 years.
Yeah, well, no, the vintage stuff is cool. That's all.
Yeah.
You were there first. You were there first because you're the hipster. That's right. I hope they do Orville action figures. It was great in Doomcock's brilliant video today. He mentioned the McFarlane deal, and I went and looked that up. And yeah, they won't even come out with a phaser. Like they had a phaser ready to go, and they canceled it. Yeah, so that's a sign.
Yeah, we brought that up in one of the videos. So, yeah, I guess they do have a Mikey Spock figure coming out though, and a Saru figure.
Yuck.
Oh,
why?
We'll see if they actually make it to production.
Yeah, I can go to Home Depot and buy a plank of wood. I don't really need an action figure of her.
You should make that a giveaway on your channel. Just go get like a little popsicle stick or something like that and put it in Star Trek.
Well, I made the Mikey Spock emoji or the Brie Larson emoji. But
not a sad face, but not a happy face. Just a flat face.
Just a face.
Yep. It's just a face.
Oh, did you see? Oh God, I don't want to publish another person's channel. Another person's channel put up the video of the Charlie's Angels reboot, and I guess there's the first picture of Kristen Stewart, and she's got the same facial expression as.
Yeah.
Oh God, I was like, man, that's actually a thing. Now, I just thought they caught them at a moment where they were thinking about like, oh man, do I got to pay my cell phone bill or should I get my assistant to do that? You know, something like that. But no, that's an actual face. That's a thing. I'm looking for it and I can't find it now, but it's funny. It looks God, that is Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I guess.
Oh,
do we really need another Charlie's Angels already?
No. Well, what really? I talked about this like a couple of weeks ago. They're doing that woke Charlie's Angels reboot. If you guys want it to be so woke, gender swap it. Don't have 3 women.
Yeah, reboot then.
Yes, why don't they? Why can't they? That's stupid.
Sherry's Angels or something. Yeah.
Oh man.
It
wasn't like the Independent UK or something like that, where the picture, it was terrible.
If you gender swapped the Angels, though,
that'd be hilarious. I think you get like you make it a Will Ferrell movie or something.
I was just gonna say, get like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and whoever else, and yeah.
We're out of women, so we need to get some new recruits, and like all the women are gone from the world, or something like that. I'd
say, what's his face, but Seth, but like everybody seems to hate him. So.
Seth Rogen?
Oh, damn! Look at that. You just why is it on DVD? Why isn't it on Blu-ray?
It's not on Blu-ray. Well, I just linked in our group chat here. We have good news. The Orville DVD will be out December 11th, and it's only $20.
Why not on Blu-ray?
Because they hate us. I don't know.
What the fuck?
What is that about? Did
they not master it on Blu-ray? Did they not think maybe they didn't think it would last?
DVDs are more expensive to make than Blu-rays. There's a news flash for you. It takes longer because they have to compress more shit. It takes fucking longer. Blu-rays are cheaper.
Yeah, okay, so $20 you can get the DVD of the Orville, or for $41 you can get the Blu-ray of Star Trek Discovery Season 1.
Oh.
Usually the better thing costs more, huh?
I have to buy one of those too. We got a super chat. I have to buy it and destroy it, and so does Doom. I'm sure you guys do. I'm sure you all got that same super chat.
Oh, nobody gave me a super chat to destroy it. No.
Yeah.
Doomcock did though.
Yeah.
Why are they not doing Blu-ray, the dirty bastards?
You know what? It was. I haven't seen him in a while. It was John Bellman. Anybody seen John Bellman lately?
Not too long ago.
Maybe
about a week ago.
Okay.
I think in one of your chats. He changed his name.
Oh, he did?
Oh, then that's maybe why.
To Timarok, I think.
Ah, yes. Okay, then.
So I have seen him.
Okay. Look, you guys got to tell us when we do that.
I don't
I don't catch that all the time. Sorry. I'm like, oh, we got a new guy. Oh, it's John. And then I'm like wondering where you are. I was worried about you. I was going to get like, APB out there. An Amber Alert. I'm trying to show you. I don't want to blast this on the screen, but I want to show you the picture of Kristen Stewart I found.
No, go for it.
If you guys can see it, it's well. Let me make sure I don't put up.
You
my
just got to do a
first.
screen share or whatever. Yeah. Close all your porn.
All my windows. Oh, God,
porn.
I have a lot of porn. A lot of windows up right now. Get out of here, James Gunn.
His old school Betamax CD hoard says.
Yes.
We are kind of going backwards in time half the time, I think.
Agreed. There it is. All right. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think I have seen this Kristen Stewart picture that you're talking about.
Oh, it's just, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody can see it. But
I am bored and I don't want to hear and yeah.
She looks unhappy.
She looks really unhappy.
Brie Larson. To be fair, that's kind of how she looked in Twilight.
She looks like Dane DeHaan in Spider-Man.
Now, it's not the look I have a problem with. I mean, that's whatever. That's how she looked in Twilight. She annoyed me to death in that movie. Yes, I watched them all. And I don't want to really break down, but the Twilight was the first thing I remember that had a character. I'm sure there was more, but it's the first thing I remember that had a character that was so vastly unlikable, but they decided somehow in the writing that we're going to make a character likable by having all the people around this character just constantly praise that character and worry about that character.
Where does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Without that character actually doing anything to earn jack squat.
God, where does that sound familiar?
I don't know. It's yeah, plank of wood.
Well, I know that she was like with Twilight though, there was kind of aimed at 12-year-old girls, and there was a real self-insert sort of blank character because that was kind of written for little girls to fantasize about and pretend that, oh my god, this vampire is going to like sit at the foot of my bed and watch me while I sleep, even though that's kind of creepy and a little, disturbing. But yeah, no, I didn't like Twilight at all. At all.
No. My wife loved it though, so that's that's how it goes, man. Can't we can't all be on the same page all the time. It's fine.
Well, I watched them with riff tracks, and they're kind of hilarious with riff tracks.
That I need to see.
But and for those of you who don't know in chat, the riff tracks guys are basically the guys from Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they do popular movies. You can go and download their commentary, and then you sync it up with your own copy of the movie. So yeah, it was kind of hilarious. And just the reaction at the very end movie where you know the scene where it was right after the giant battle scene, and then you find out the big twist. The reaction to that scene, without spoiling anything, was probably the best reaction I've ever heard in any sort of commentary ever. It was hilarious.
I gotta see that now.
Yeah, they're worth sitting through to watch the commentaries.
I saw they did a Doctor Who one. It was fantastic. Yes. The one they did in the theaters.
I saw that one in the theater.
Yeah, that was great.
I usually see every single one. The last one they did was Krull. It was kind of amazing.
I missed that one. That sucks.
They aren't doing a Halloween one. I don't know if they're doing a Christmas one yet, but I usually end up going to every single one. They've done Samurai Cop, LA Connection, Time Chasers. Yeah, they did Mothra last year. It was kind of awesome.
Samurai Cop.
Samurai Cop.
Oh, they need to bring that back.
Yeah, well, they made a sequel of Samurai Cop, and it has Tommy Wiseau in it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know. See, there are good things in the world, people. Yeah.
We can at least laugh at how bad some things are. Like if it's no budget and it's kind of terrible, but it's really entertaining, I don't mind it. Something like Star Trek Discovery isn't even entertaining.
That's true.
No. And it looks like this might be the last season.
Yes.
Oh. That was I love starting my day with that. Thanks, Doomcock. That was awesome to hear.
Tom and Gary, if Star Trek does get canceled, do you believe there's a 50-50 chance that the new Picard series can stay in the prime timeline? Asked Dynamo 75. No, because of that damn copyright deal. That's the thing. I think we talked a little bit about it yesterday on the show, to where it all has to do with the Bad Robot deal. That's why everything's so convoluted, because they can't make TV shows that compete with the Kelvin movies unless they go through Bad Robot. That's the whole problem. So as far as I know, that'll still be under that deal, unless there's something else out there I don't know about. So, Gary.
No, the only thing that confuses me is there's a lot of fraternization, we'll just say, there with the Bad Robot thing, because Kurtzman is running the TV part. He's buds with J.J. Abrams, unless they're not buds anymore. I don't know. But it seems like J.J. Abrams has major influence on the TV side too. So
yes, we brought that up.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see that ending unless Kurtzman is gone, which I don't see the logic. If Star Trek, well, it wasn't his fault, really. I guess you can put it that way. If Star Trek Discovery fails, he's got some responsibility, but he has an out. Like,
I thought you were going to say it wasn't. I thought you were going to stick up for him and like Into Darkness and all that kind of crap. I'm like, he's the one who wrote the shit.
God, no. He wrote like. Yeah, I don't understand. I was surprised to see him in your video. Like he was going to do Venom. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what has he done? I don't understand. Yeah, he's the Bad Robot has their claws firmly into this franchise, and I don't think they're going to let go anytime soon.
Right, because that's one of the things that a lot of people come back at us on is you guys are so full of shit. Bad Robot isn't even listed as one of the producers on Star Trek Discovery. It's like, we know. But if you go back in the Wayback Machine and look up when it was first announced, you will see that Bad Robot was listed. Then all of a sudden they weren't. Instead, though, was this company called Secret Hideout, which, lo and behold, is one of Alex Kurtzman's companies. And Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams are basically Bad Robot. So it's like you just said, there's very tight connections. There's a reason why Kurtzman was chosen. I'm sure he may have even pushed his way in there for all we know. I have no idea on that part. But oh yeah, this whole convoluted mess has everything to do with Bad Robot, but people are not seeing that. And it has everything to do with this damn license that was given out in 2009 for the JJ Star Trek movies. It says that CBS cannot make television shows in the 10-year span that those movies are out. So if they stop making those movies and then 10 years are done, CBS can make old school Trek again if they like. Basically is what my understanding is. But until it's 10 years past the last JJ Trek movie, they can't do shit. They have to go through Bad Robot, basically.
That makes Beyond even worse. The fact that it actually happened and we have to wait longer for motorcycle Trek. Oh man,
I mean, I'd love to see the contract, but this is everything that we've extrapolated and figured out and searched for, and yeah, it's all out there for the most part. You know, there's a few things that, of course, we have to check through sources and various sources, but we do everything we can to make sure what we report is accurate at the time. You know, there's a few things story-wise that we had talked about that had gotten changed that we know of, but other than that, you know, everything else we reported has been pretty much accurate. So,
yeah, I've got like one inside guy, kind of. It's my sponsor. Has a friend who works for CBS, and he's the one who told me like how, and it's basically what you reported, how expensive the episodes got. And, but it totally corroborates what Doomcock said this morning is they were pissed. Like the powers that be were not happy about anything, but mostly the money, but, they were totally pissed. So if it probably got, you know, I was in Random's chat earlier and I just kind of mused.
See, now if I'd have heard that from you, we would have ran with that probably. That's the only reason we didn't, is because we only had one source on that story.
Yeah, I've been trying to hit him up for more, but he kind of knows I do a YouTube show now, so he's kind of shut up. But I got it for what I could.
Well, there you go. You tell him I give it to my source, and then his source gives me stuff.
There you go. If we just switch
that's usually how we try to work stuff out, but it doesn't always work that way.
I'll tell you off air what department he's in. But you know what I think the episodes if they got more expensive, because the numbers I was hearing were the ones you reported. It was well over 8 million. It was more like
well,
10.
then you, as far as the first season, you also have to factor in that they supposedly reshot those first 4 episodes. We've reported that before too.
Yep.
That was old news. Yeah.
Just speculate.
No, I think that's pretty true, because if you look at it, they said that they had, if you go by what people on the inside have been saying, including Brian Fuller, they changed a bunch of shit that he did. And I think they had already shot at least, 2 or 3 episodes with him before he got fired, maybe those first 4. And the reason that they did it all is supposedly that they tested badly, and then they went and changed the story. And that's when the whole tardigrade thing comes in. And that's where the Anasa Bean thing comes in. And it's like, yeah, because they're trying to throw Brian under the bus. And he says, I didn't have nothing to do with that shit. And I can prove it. So, and there's people who have read his or seen either seen the episodes or read the scripts that can verify it.
Did he
I trust? So,
was it Brian Fuller who did Mikey Spock though?
I think he came up with that character, but that's the thing, is the whole story arc changed. Everything, the idea of what the show was supposed to be, I think changed. I have not heard exactly from my sources and the people that I trust who have said this stuff exactly what it was all about, but they have all said the same thing, that this tardigrade shit all came in later.
Yeah, Brian Fuller used to write for Trek, and yeah, I don't know if he came. It doesn't feel like he would come up with that. I think he's got way too much respect for the law.
Not only that,
be wrong, but
he was the only one who had the balls. And I was found this again the other day when we were doing research. He was the only one in the beginning who had the balls to say that this does not lie in the Prime universe or the Kelvin universe. He specifically said that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it clearly doesn't.
So, oh God, no.
Yeah, we got all these people debating this shit, and it's like it was said before the show even started. Now they're trying to fudge that line so people don't know, just like this Venom thing. You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from Sony. They good on them for what they did, but I swear half the reason they did as well as they did is because most of the general audience didn't realize this has nothing to do with the MCU or Spider-Man.
Movie companies are clickbaiting. It's
yes.
Pretty incredible and not surprising, but that's amazing to hear. God damn. And yes, they're trying to fool us. So by the end of season 2, Star Trek Discovery, what's your bet that they flipped around on the spore drive, which they probably won't even refer to? They'll just say something happened, and they're going to end up somewhere else. That's what I
said that since the beginning.
Yeah.
And,
they're going to have to. They're going to have to. Or if we even have a conclusion, my theory is that they'll probably end like halfway through the season almost, because I don't think they're gonna have a conclusion. It's that bad.
Honestly, I think they'll go the route, like I said, with the whole Spock thing. Like Mikey will have to sacrifice herself to give her Katra or whatever to Spock to save him. And we'll get this thing to like where, like I said, because Spock was always known to be a little bit more wild and more Earthling-like than Vulcan-like when he was younger at times. So I have a feeling that they're going to set Spock up to be a little bit of a recluse, a little bit more like, an Earthling. And then it's going to be melding with Mikey Spock that is going to make him Spock that we know today. I could be wrong, but I have this rolling and everything they keep showing us, and we were fairly good at predicting some of the shit from the first season, because like we said, they're going to wind up somewhere to where it's like they keep flipping through dimensions, and at some point they're going to wind up stuck in the TOS dimension if they can actually do that. That's the big question. And we already kind of got that at the end when when Enterprise showed up, so that's kind of close to what we predicted. Pretty much we figured something like that was going to happen. I still have yet to see the last 2 episodes, but I know, I already know what happens, so it doesn't matter. But, it's just, the shit's so predictable. We've given them so much more credit than they deserve in a lot of this shit. Because if you listen to some of our earlier Trek logs and some of the episodes we did before it was the Trek log, we predict a bunch of stuff, and we're giving them way too much credit. Like we're coming up with shit that, even though it's dumb, is 10 times better than what we got. None of us could predicted that dumbass Lorca storyline the way it came out.
Well, third episode in, we had a couple of guys because we covered, like live after every episode. We had two. Langley Neely, he's a great chatter. He pops up once in a while. Predicted all that shit. Like I don't know if he worked on the show or not, but he predicted everything. If you go through our chat, the guy was spot on everything. So I don't know if it was just super obvious, but that Lorca stuff.
It could be, but it's kind of obvious other than the Lorca thing.
I thought you guys knew it. I thought you guys were predicting this from
we did. Universe. We knew he was from the Mirror Universe. The part I'm talking about is his convoluted fucking plan.
Oh. Yeah, dude, that plan. Yeah, no, the plan was so stupid. Langley got that right. We even coined it. We coined it Lorcastrating.
It's like, oh my good God, how does this even compute in anybody's brain is beyond me. It's like worse than Baron Zemo's plan in fucking Civil War.
It is. I resubscribed and I am going to go back. I've got to go back and hear him monologue that plan because that might that needs to be out there. I'm sure it's out there. God, I need a good laugh.
It is just hilariously bad, like 60s Bond villain bad. You're like sitting there going, wait a minute, this shit is not for real. Like he's doing all this shit. He created the Discovery ship, did all this just so he could get back with Mikey Spock. And not only that, he doesn't even know if Mikey Spock's going to take him back.
Yeah.
Because it's not his Mikey Spock.
And why? Who cares about her that much? What's so great about her anyway?
Because it's Mikey fucking Spock.
She's baby mama or something? Like, what's the attachment?
Well, she was banging her mother in the other universe, and from what I gathered from it, because the way they were looking at each other, I'm like, Mirror Universe, they're more than just mother-daughter, huh?
Is that why they all have such a big love triangle thing going on there? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it seems like.
You could be right. I mean, not to get down that rabbit hole, but Jesus Christ, I wouldn't put it past the writers on this show because they don't think like sci-fi writers.
No, they think like Game of Thrones and space writers, and that's why I think she's going to be banging Spock. I think she was banging the Mirror Universe version of her was banging the woman who adopted her, because seriously, why wouldn't she? Because this is the type of crap writing we have.
Oh yeah, it's not even thought out Game of Thrones. It's like basic. It's like I watched a couple of Alt Shift X videos on Game of Thrones, so now I'm going to write the show like that. I mean,
it's like that old Eddie Murphy joke where he says, if you're foreign and you catch delirious, all you hear is the swear words.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you think he comes out and goes, shit, piss, cock, motherfucker, and shit. Good night. So this is what happens. It's like these people watched a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. Oh, this is all about incest and fucking each other over and killing each other. Oh, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't even pay attention to the nuances of everything else. Just the salacious shit. And that's really, if you look at the show on the surface, and that's why I hate it when people try to like get intellectual about the show. It's like, oh, it's just so much more than you're grasping and understanding. It's like, what is there to grasp and understand? Okay, they're showing a bunch of blood and guts in space like we've ever needed that in Star Trek before. Yeah. They're saying fuck like we've ever needed that in Star Trek before. We've got Klingon tits and two dicks like we've ever needed that shit in Star Trek before.
I know.
I mean, it was a little titillating here and there to get guys like Kirk and shit like that to get with the green women. That was enough. You didn't need to see or get really into the nitty gritty, because why? Star Trek has always been at least safe enough to watch with your kids. And then Random, you brought this up about that video with the interview with what's her face who plays Tilly.
Mary Wiseman.
Like, where she's all like, oh, I'm just so glad that little girl, I don't want, if I had a little girl, she sure as shit wouldn't be watching this shit. No fucking way.
Yeah. No. No. Oh yeah. What? Okay. Yeah, I know what you do. It was a random's video. I got you. Yeah. Fuck no. My kids. No. I don't. I like my kids, so I won't show it to them anyway.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you're gonna sit and you're gonna watch it. You're gonna like it.
Yeah, we got the two dicks, possibly two buttholes, and
what does this have to do with anything, Daddy? I don't understand why the scary man has two penises.
Oh, and just the amount of gore, but yeah, it was so funny though, because I saw that tweet out. It was during I think one of the Comic-Cons or one of the conventions they did not too long ago, and Mary Wiseman, it just sounded so scripted, where she's like, yeah, I got this message from a little girl. She was like 7 years old in Germany or wherever, and she said she really loves my character and she loves being able to identify with Tilly. And I'm like, 7-year-olds are watching this. Okay. I mean, I guess I was watching, Nightmare on Elm Street and Return of the Living Dead back then, but
It is
You
Germany.
know what you're getting into with that, though.
yeah, it's a horror movie. It's
Your
not like
parents
Star
know
Trek.
what it is. Yes, I mean it's one thing to be a bad parent. It's another thing to just know what your kid's watching to a point to where, if you know they can handle it or not.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, this is not family entertainment. This is not anything close to Star Trek that we know.
Well, it's not family friendly. It's not entertainment.
And then when people hear that, they think our arguments, oh, you just want the same old thing. No, not necessarily.
No.
Look at the Orville. It's not the same old Star Trek, but yet it harkens back to the next generation in so many loving ways, to where some people even call it a ripoff, and in a way it is. But you know what? They still did a ripoff 10 times better than what they're doing now on the actual side of things. So it's like, I'll take the Orville.
Okay, on television, sorry, Trekkies and Trekkers who've read all the books and stuff like that. I'm just talking about on television, what I've seen. We've always seen the Federation. I'd love to see something outside of the Federation, the underbelly, the black market, whatever, the criminal elements. If you want to go there, that's cool. That's fine. Change is good. Just like good change. I don't need to see a procedural Federation show again. I don't think anybody's asking for that, but because it got super stale at the end. God, I like I said, I'm apologizing to Rick Berman, but I really freaking hated him towards the end. His stuff was so boring, and it was sad. But
well, and that's the thing. What is this? I'm trying to figure out what Star Trek Discovery's ultimate goal is. Really,
just to sell their streaming service.
Well, we know that. But I mean, as far as the storytellers, what is it? Because they're more concerned with fucking two dicks and two assholes and Klingon tits. And that to me sounds like it's a fucking writing room full of 12-year-olds.
They kind of are. No, it doesn't have like a clear, concise story arc. I mean, I think they kind of wanted to set out to tell the Klingon War story, but they had no idea how to do that because none of them are Star Trek people. And so they kind of made this weird mashup of like, oh, well, we need this sleeper agent and we need this and that. And you have a whole bunch of idiots who don't understand tropes or who well, I think they know tropes enough to kind of sprinkle them in here and there, but they don't understand how to use it in Star Trek. They don't understand the lore, the mythology, the spirit of the show. And now they know that Spock was a huge reference on Big Bang Theory. So they're going to bring Spock in to try and bring in all and the Cage. Oh no, the Cage. We'll reference the Cage and the Telosians, and we're going to bring in that stuff because Star Trek fans love references. Because
how about
so
that,
little of nerds. They think so little of nerds that's all we are, that we're just references and name drops. And it pisses me off.
They're supposed to be doing a prequel to the Cage.
What?
2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
I sorry, Random. I saw your video go up. I haven't seen it yet. But what? Really?
Yeah.
How? I don't understand. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think Doomcog mentioned a little bit in his video too, where they're trying to bring in the Cage stuff. Alex Kurtzman said at New York Comic Con, he's like, hey, do you guys want more Star Trek characters from the original series? Well, hey, we're bringing in the Telosians from the Cage, and we're setting this up to be a prequel to Star Trek Discovery, or no, the Discovery is supposed to be a prequel to the Cage, rather.
Okay? I could be wrong. What's the timeline on that? Are we doing a time jump or something like that?
I don't know. They don't say, but yeah. So the Cage takes place like 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years before Discovery. Now, Talos 4 is sealed off by General Order Number 7 to keep people out, and you are not to have any communication with it or anything. Yeah. So Discovery is supposed to be a prequel to the Cage, is what he's saying. And I don't know if he got his facts wrong or they messed it up somehow, but this is how it was written. This is
well, weren't people complaining? Yeah, I was gonna say, weren't people complaining when they first teased that Pike was going to be in there, and he obviously was not going to be paralyzed and all that kind of shit like he should be in that time.
Yeah, that was part of it. Not only that, he's playing it so jovial.
And then if you go by the Kelvin verse, he's still dead. or no, he's still alive yet. Never mind. He dies. When does he die? He gets hurt, but then he doesn't die until Into Darkness. That's a little ways down the road. Never mind. Okay, never mind.
Okay,
but
so
still.
they're just in another universe now. And
Well, we said that at the beginning, yeah, because Brian Fuller's always said that. But see, now that's the thing is CBS has been trying to muddy the waters, kind of like with Sony, and that's why I brought that up before too, is because they don't want you to know that it's not connected or that it's connected to one or the other, because then they're afraid you're gonna react one way or the other. You know what I mean? It's like, and if they would have just said, no, this is just its own fucking thing, it's not connected to anything, blah, 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 or anything like that, it doesn't affect anything, people wouldn't give a shit. Most people wouldn't, you know, some people would be upset just because, you know, but
no, I think that they should have really starting out with the truth usually helps most of the time. But yeah, when you lie to your audience, you get this. Yeah, because the reaction has been so great so far. Good thing they kept it from everybody.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
Bold.
Well, they don't understand that, like, if people are tweeting about it and making videos about it, it's not necessarily a good thing, because half of us are making, and maybe more than half, are making very negative tweets, negative videos. We don't like it. We don't care. Yeah.
Well, and most of the animosity stems from people saying CBS is trying to say this is Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And their definition of Prime is even convoluted. So it's this whole fucking mishmash of what is it, where does it come from? And if they're going off of what Brian Fuller first established, he was establishing something completely new and different that's not in any of the other universes, which tells me that our original reporting on it being, you know, in its own alternate universe was true. And then when you start getting into all the universe jumping, that makes sense. Because I think the universe jumping was a thing, but the tardigrade wasn't a part of that until after Fuller.
So Star Trek sliders, then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, that's the impression I got at the end of the first season when they jumped back, and they were like, we're 9 months later than when they left, and the war was over. And yeah, this could explain a lot, and it would take some of the teeth out of some people's argument. Then why not just come out and say it, though? I mean, at this point,
it would certainly not hurt anything, I don't think. Well, it would piss off all the like diehard fanboys who love everything Star Trek, no matter how good or bad it is. Those people would be really pissed off. But
sort of shit is why I don't use the term Prime. I use canon. Says Captain Robert April. Yeah,
well,
Prime-ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because you have some people who refer to Prime as the G, so on and so forth time period. I've heard some people refer to the time Prime as what Kelvin universe is. No. It's like that makes no sense whatsoever, but okay. Or they'll say it's an entirely different timeline, and it's like that doesn't make any sense either. So anyway, because it stems from this idea that the Kelvin timeline never intersected with the Prime timeline to begin with. Like there's this whole other timeline that I don't know about, evidently. It's like, I mean, I get what they're saying to a point, but it's like that doesn't make any logical sense as far as how quantum physics works. No. You know, you create an alternate timeline, you have to have that original timeline to create an alternate timeline from. At which point, yes, you would create another timeline.
Yeah.
So there's your third timeline maybe you're referring to.
Well, I take timelines out of it and I just say it's another dimension.
Yeah. The same difference, timeline, dimension. Yeah.
And Mega Grey Wolf says maybe old Spock came from this Prime universe to the Kelvin universe. That way we can do away with all that red matter BS from the canon as well. Yeah. Please do, but I still think red matter might, but probably won't. No, I can't play into it because it's in the movie universe, so they can't use it in the TV show. But or could they?
I don't know. See, because that's the whole thing with I think they're probably more apt to be allowed to use something that was in a JJ Trek movie than, because even Shatner, even though people want to argue us, Shatner even said it himself. He doesn't know if Kirk's going to show up because they have to go through Paramount. Why would they have to go through Paramount? That makes no sense whatsoever. The only reason that makes sense is because they got to go through Bad Robot, actually, not Paramount. But yeah. So anyway.
And that whole deal, yeah, weren't you reporting that they were possibly negotiating, trying to get the rights all in one place, and that's all fucked up right now because Les Moonves? Or
Well, the chances of that happening are gone now for 2 years. What you're referring to, I think, is the merger. The merger was a really big deal to like Sherry Redstone and a few other people because Paramount and Viacom are in real shitty shape. So they really need this merger. But because of the whole Les Moonves thing, they're not allowed to discuss the merger for another 2 years, I think it is. So we're stuck with this shit for at least another 2 years. And again, the merger may not affect anything. I've yet to get any solid concrete confirmation on what that would do to the license because of the third party involved being Bad Robot. That's the thing. That's what makes everything so funky because they are a third party. They're not technically Paramount. They're not technically CBS, but they have a lot of control over this shit right now is where it's sitting, if that makes sense. So it's like when we say a lot of this stuff about Paramount, CBS, we should be probably interjecting Bad Robot more often because they're really the reason everything's so convoluted. Because otherwise, CBS could just do it. You know, and all Paramount would have to do is get the rights to make a movie if that was the case. But I don't think anybody's that interested in Star Trek movies right now. So
nope. That's sad. God, I'm just wishing that J.J. Abrams gets like a few $billion and has a passion for philanthropy and goes and saves some, go save the whales or save some gorillas in Africa, go adopt some children.
There'll be whales.
Yes. And get out of filmmaking and get his grasp is everywhere. It's ridiculous. Like I was looking through the American Gods thing and he had something to do with that, just loosely, but it's everywhere. Like, go away, dude.
Who does he have naked pictures of? I want to know. Like between him or Kathleen Kennedy and all these people, like how are you guys employed? It's like how good at ass kissing are you?
That's it. I mean, like, and we've talked about it before. I really haven't seen him. I've seen him in like brief interviews, but when I saw his mystery box video, I'm like, I understand now. Like he's a good schmoozer. He's like very charming guy. So that's it. I mean, there's and he's got a certain degree of talent, I will say. But no, he's just probably plays the game better than everybody else. So that's how it goes. There is good stuff out there, though, folks.
There is. There's like, and I know we always complain about like all this
stuff. I'm sorry this hurts your head, Comrade Bernard Putin's axe. Well, it hurts my head too. So.
Oh, what's up, comrade? Good to see you,
I wonder how many people got their names stuck when everybody changed them when we were all Russian bots.
Right.
Because I know you can only change your name so many times.
Populi Suprema says they are just going to rip off Star Trek Enterprise and the Time War arc, but with different timelines. Bad Robot is recycle stuff from firing as well, if you have seen it. Well, we've said it before too. They keep trying to do the same storyline that's in Into Darkness now twice. They have.
Yeah.
Why?
To begin with. What an abomination.
Well, weren't you saying yesterday on the stream that they keep rewriting the same story over and over again? What was it? Akiva Goldsman or Alex Kurtzman? They keep having the exact same story over and over again.
Yeah, the same one that's in Into Darkness that we've gotten now here. Yeah, that same, using a bad guy to beat a bigger, badder force kind of thing is like his go-to story.
We've already done it. We've already got one. See, and then they wonder why. Oh, you're just experiencing like this movie fatigue or that movie, Star Wars fatigue, Star Trek fatigue, superhero fatigue. It's like no, we just keep seeing the same goddamn stories over and over again, and half of the time they're just crap. Half the time they were done so poorly. So of course we're tired. Yeah, of course we're tired of them because we've already seen it how many times now.
Was I ignoring you, comrade? I'm sorry. I wasn't reading all the chat. My bad.
Yeah,
you were ignoring me.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what's up, Gary. I have access to the nukes now, don't you? You do? Oh, I trust you, man. Do what you need to do.
So Kathleen Kennedy lives at? No.
Yeah. Pinpoint those suckers?
Yeah, you can.
Uh,
I'm reading the chat now. Sorry,
Yes,
comrade. I apologize.
Lex Luthor.
Section 31 recruiting Mira Georgiou is like when they recruited Khan. Yeah, so that I missed that. I guess that was because I watched the whole damn show and I didn't see that happening in the
oh,
show.
it
Was
was
that an extra or
yeah,
something? Or
it was a leaked something or other that they dropped during Comic-Con or something. One of those conventions. They kind of dropped it right after the fact as sort of like a, oh, here's a never before seen. Give us money because now you want to watch CBS All Access because we dropped this scene. And I think it was just on Twitter or something stupid.
Okay, because I saw her talking about it and she gave me that rich quote that I put in my video, which is they drug me kicking and screaming into this lame ass universe. I'm all, that's funny. Yeah, and then she talked about how they're all the Section 31 agents, I think they're female, are all going to be wearing leather, and they're going to be very sexy and very subtle because Section 31 is all about subtlety and But yeah, wearing black badges, having black alerts, which is a black alert when you turn off the lights again. I forgot.
Yeah, probably.
Close your eyes. It's a black alert.
We never had a black alert before, ever.
Well, we need a plaid alert now. I want a plaid alert.
Everything's gone to plaid. So anyway, we had quite a few people watching us here. We've been hovering around 110 or so.
Nice.
We want to thank all you guys for joining us this evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is where you're at. As we said in the outset, got any more quick questions for us? I know Gary's got some stuff he's got to do here soon too, so we don't want to go on too much longer here. Let's see, is there any really good questions, guys? Comrade Berniford Putin's Axe Wheeler. Since Akiva Goldsman is involved in the Picard show, does that mean Picard's uniform has nipples on it? Like a random 42 gave me ideas.
I need to see that meme. Make that meme.
I've got such sexy nipples that the suit accentuates the nipple eye area. Is that
actually lactate?
Lactate. And I feed all my crew.
Oh man. So like out of all those titles, which one's the Picard one? Academy?
I thought it was Destiny.
Oh, is it Destiny?
Yeah, I think
okay.
Destiny's wound up being the Picard show. I was wrong on that, unfortunately. And I was just going by the logical. Yeah, I was thinking logically there. Why not? Why do that when it comes to this shit?
Because that's not going to piss people off. We already had we had Stargate Universe that everyone called Destiny because that was the name of the ship. We've got those video games that are out, the Destiny video games. That's not going to just confuse the crap out of everybody. Or at least be it's such an overused generic title.
It is.
It's not creative. Well, I mean, that's what these new Star Trek shows are anyway. They're not creative. They're just so generic and boring.
No, that's what I said. They're like these guys get in the room, guys and gals get into the room, and all they're more worried about is the genitalia of the fucking Klingorks than they are the actual stories, or making Mikey a likable character, or any of the other crewmen actually getting any story time or anything like that. God forbid.
Yeah,
I was talking about that on my Doctor Who thing. It's like I mean, not to even defend these writers too much, and it's not as bad with Star Trek that it probably is with Doctor Who, but they there's a checklist they have to abide to before they even start writing a story. Like this has to be in here. This has to be that. Somebody has to be shipping somebody. And okay, now you can write your story. And that's what they're dealing with right now. And it's sucking the creativity out of everything. That's probably why sci-fi writers don't want anything to do with this shit. It ties their hands too much,
Well, and I mean, you're close enough to the industry, you might be able to know the answer to this, Gary. Do you think a lot of it might be just because a lot of sci-fi writers were probably white guys? Is that a big thing, or is that just?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like that's the most of the writers I saw at the time down there. I mean, that's a lot different now, and it's also just who was into that shit back then. I don't think it was keeping anybody out, but yeah, that might have been. Maybe then they don't want them in that room. They clearly don't want them in that.
Yeah, because that's what I keep hearing is that Hollywood is just flipping right now. They're going completely as to prove and make everything as diverse as possible, and that's why all these people are getting these movies and shows that have never had any experience.
Well, look at the She-Ra writers room. Like I did a video on that where they had a picture of all the She-Ra writers room, and I'm like, look at how diverse they are. It's a room full of a bunch of white women with glasses. Yeah, every single one of them. It was like a dozen of them. So super diverse there, guys. That's not how diversity works.
Right?
Not really. Half the population, actually, there's more women than men in the world. And
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that road, but you know what I'm talking about. Oh God, yes. Even in Man in the High Castle, which I'm going to talk about in a little, it's evident in there. Like it's gotten to everything now. It's gotten to Game of Thrones. It's gotten to Westworld was a major victim to that. And it's affecting our good stuff, our good shows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of you out there saw Westworld this year, or even see it was the second season came out and it was just completely
I haven't watched the
different
second season,
from the first season. Like,
and that's why everybody's told me not to.
No, they full on go Time's Up Me Too.
There's JJ. That's another one of his.
Yeah.
And he got me again. That son of a bitch. Never again.
JJ, you son of a bitch.
It's a cowboy show with no cowboys in it.
Oh my.
And all the cowboys. There's two left.
Fine,
one's
if they
really
were.
bad. The other one's like really subservient. No, he died at the end. Yeah. So
Well,
no cowboys.
It's like, I mean, I wouldn't have minded them going into other parts of the park per se,
which they did.
Because I mean, even the original movie, you know, they showed a little bit. Then you get to Future World, where it's the Future World part of it, and they were intending on doing more than that, but they just never did. But yeah, I mean, I know my problem, I think, is it kind of is like, okay, I get it. You're taking the concept of what Westworld is, but where is Westworld in this? I'm really trying to see it in there. I mean, the first season kept me watching, but I don't know if it's because I was so much entertained as I was confused, and I had to keep watching to see if it, you know, because you keep getting answers finally, just like that damn mystery box of JJ's. But it's like we're getting to a point where you're basically telling me now the answers aren't worth it in the second season. So It's like
the second season goes so off the rails that I guess it could rally, but I'd say 5% chance it actually rallies. 95% chance it goes off a cliff. Yeah, Westworld season 2, all men are evil. That was it, straight up. And it was like nonsensical. I mean, like, you can do that within the frame of the show. They're robots, but their base programming goes back in the 1800s and feudalistic Japan and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm sorry. No. No. But no, they went there. They did.
From what I heard, wasn't every white man or every man on the show like just made to be an absolute idiot? Yep. Or we can't.
Sorry, even your protagonist man, Jeffrey Wright, was a bumbling idiot throughout the entire series, and I thought it was going somewhere. I really did, but by the end, I was, Ed Harris, your most interesting character, does the most unforgivable thing within the framework of the show, and it's irredeemable, and it's one of those actions that you do in a show that they're going to rename jumping the shark into what Ed Harris's character did in this show on how to kill a show. You know, it's that dumb. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, such a pisser.
It's how do I form words for this? Do they not realize that you can admire and you can have a role model of somebody who doesn't look like you and doesn't have the same parts between their legs as you? You know, you don't have to have 100% representation if you're a woman. You can like whoever you choose, and you don't have to make every single TV series into this sort of man-hating, man-bashing, anti-diverse sort of story. They love to preach diversity, but it's really not. And yeah, do they not realize that you can admire people who don't look like you? You can admire aliens. I can look up to Yoda, and he's 3 feet tall and green and has giant porty ears.
and has Frank Oz's hand up his ass.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yes, absolutely. You're so right on that one. It's clearly an overcorrection. It shows like Hollywood's groupthink is like just really two-dimensional anyway. Because it's yes, did a correction have to be made? Of course. I mean, listen, all females were being like, if you were over 40, your career was over, or you were a mom. You were either a damsel. We get it, fine, that's cool, but that's actually been kind of going away for a long time. It's like,
yeah, like 20 years easily. My entire adult life, we haven't had that. We've had a pretty fair, we've had characters like Ivanova on Babylon 5 who kick ass. We've had, I can't remember her name on Firefly. Any of the women on Firefly were pretty damn amazing in their own way.
River. Yeah.
Well, River or any of them really were kind of amazing. Kaylee and all of them. We've had all these amazing, and even going back to Princess Leia, we've always had some pretty awesome women in my entire lifetime. Thinking back, we weren't just the damsel who needed rescuing. That sort of thing. Like it leveled out in like the 90s, and that's been going slowly downhill to where the women are kind of trying to dominate the men and push them down, and it's really, really frustrating and annoying.
and you're also making half your audience or more than half of your audience bounce. It's actually the vast majority of your audience in genre. I'm watching Farscape for the first time, and I really enjoy it. I know some people don't, that's fine, but I did. And that had Aaron, and and this was in 1999. So like this is 20 fucking years old. Remember those girls kick ass stickers from the 90s?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like we're just going through that again. And that's fine. Girls do kick ass. We love them. But you're right. The overcorrection is they're trying to play with it within genre for to what end? I don't know, because you're just alienating the larger portion of your fan base through this guise of accessibility. And accessibility is a wonderful thing. I want lots of ladies reading comic books. I'm starting to see more of them at conventions now, and that's great. But it's equal to a relationship or a marriage when somebody moves in. The partner doesn't move in and take over the entire fucking house and then throws me in a closet. There's got to be some compromise here, okay? And we're not getting that right now.
I think that's kind of what they're trying for, though. They're like, the last place I really saw that when I was a kid was like Roseanne or Home Improvement, where the women were so emasculating sometimes. But even then, at the end of the day, you still had some sort of equality. You had some sort of fight back. But that was in these over exaggerated sitcoms. And yeah, I don't. I've actually made videos about this, about going off on commercials that have been doing this for a long time, where there's a carpet cleaning commercial where they say, oh, do you have pets and kids and a husband? Like he's a fucking prop on, like scooting his ass across the rug like your dog or something. Like it's so insulting to men. And do they really think that they treat men like that when they go home in real life? Because I used to work with a lot of women in department stores and retail that spoke like they actually did treat their husbands like that, and it just kind of gobsmacked me. I'm like, I will sleep with your husband if you don't want him. Seriously, I was looking at these women like, dude, he makes all this money, you've got a place to live, you got all this, and you're that much of a bitch to him. And that's kind of what they're preaching now, and that's kind of what they're doing, and it really, really pisses me off as a woman. Like no, we don't do this. And even now, like I get into it on Twitter with all these women too, that they get mad at me because when I call them out for that shit, and they're like, "Oh, you're going against your own." Like, what? No, I'm part of like a normal, free-thinking human being. I don't just gang up on somebody because of how they were born, because I'm not a sexist like that. It's such bullshit.
Yeah, that weird group thing, going up against your own. I
know.
As an independent person, I've never been like about that, or a gang or a group, or like, yeah, I wouldn't like join some men's org. Are you fucking kidding me? No way. And no, none of us want like women barefoot in a kitchen either. Fuck no. There's got to be some common sense here, and I think that's all we've been asking for. But we're asking the wrong people. That's why you need to come to YouTube.
Yeah.
Us, so.
Exactly. What do you think, Tom? We're just taking over.
The biggest problem, not to get too political, of course, is just that, even within entertainment and stuff, when they say they want equality, what they mean is domination. It seems like sometimes. And it's like, I think that everybody forgot that equal, or at least, fairly equally represented, not this super overcorrection like you're basically saying, Gary, that's kind of happening in so many ways, not just in diversity, but I mean, just in entertainment in general. And sometimes it seems like.
Oh, even in workplaces too. I see it all the time. They're going to go out of their way to hire a woman rather than a white man in a lot of workplaces too, because there's too many men in the workplace, and there's too many, we need more diverse. We're hiring too many men. They have like exclusive women's only groups that the men are excluded from. We're gonna have a women's only book club where they go and talk about who knows what for 2 hours.
Had that for men for years too. That's not abnormal, but
still, I mean, it's such an overcorrection, and
it is in a lot of ways,
exclusive, and in a day and age where they're preaching all this shit like, oh, inclusion, diversity, compassion, all these things, they need to kind of really understand what those words mean. They need to look at the definitions and not realize that, oh, you're actually being a racist and a sexist when you're excluding white men, and it really pisses me off.
Yeah, and they threaten to harm the message that is good within that. Okay.
Yeah.
That like nobody is against diversity. We've said this a million times. Sorry to put that qualifier up there, but yeah, it's the overcorrection that's going to make the fringe elements go nuts, and it fucks up the message, and it just makes people annoying. And that's the thing. It's like I don't talk about my politics, but I may agree with some people out there but they're annoying as fucking hell. So there's no way I could, side with them in any way, shape, or form ever, because you're just annoying me, period. It's hopefully it gets better. The pendulum tends to swing the other way. It seems like it's kind of happening on the ground level. But I think that's part of the whole thing with YouTube, this whole movement, and why people flock here now. Because we can't, especially if you're a nerd, you can't read anything without being pounded over the head with it. You can't watch a television show. You can't watch even there's no E. So like there's us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, because they control so much of what the message is, too. Even these articles, like that Doctor Who article I sent in the group chat on our Twitter thing the other day, where they spun it so much, where they really wanted people to think that Jodie Whittaker was going off on her high horse about, we're past the day and age where only white men can be heroes. And they misquoted her, and they really took her out of context to spin this social media or this social justice agenda that she didn't say. And I have like 2 other takes of my video that I made where I was pissed at what she was saying, because they got me. They clickbaited me into being super angry about that, because basically it comes off like she's saying, oh yeah, they're, no, we don't live in the time where white men only can be heroes anymore. And it's not what she said. She just said, hey, nobody's qualified to play this. It's an alien with 2 hearts. And it was actually a really well thought out interview. She's very intelligent. She came across as a very reasonable, likable woman. But I mean, even you were saying you were triggered by it.
Oh my God. I saw that headline and I exploded, but then you're like, whoa, read it. So I read it and I'm like, yeah. And it was really fucked up what Radio Times did.
Yeah.
And that's the media. And that's our whole point is that's how it's being promoted. And sometimes the actors get the flack when they probably shouldn't, but you're right. Fuck. That was
probably one of the worst I've seen in a long time too.
Yep. And that was a flat out misquote. That was that's not what she said.
No, and they do that for clickbaiting, and they do that to spin their message, and it's no wonder we live in a day and age where like all of like, to go back to like Star Wars or something, where everybody who says a positive review about Star Wars is labeled as a shill, because we know how much the media tends to control the message. Even like the high tier verified Twitter handle sort of people out there who make fan Star Wars.
And that goes both ways too, because I can tell you, when we first talked about The Last Jedi, since we didn't love it or absolutely despise it at first, you know, like Rob and I both got to a point where after we watched it, it's like, you know, we didn't know what we felt the first
Mm-hmm.
time out about it. And it again, it was like, oh yeah, there's something wrong here. That's a little different. But at first, we were still kind of like, it's not horrible, but it's not great. We had people from both sides just bombard us with bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe. That's the closest we came to any kind of real threats, like you guys were talking about, you know, before. It's like, man, these people are really. It's like, what are you saying? One person saying that we hated on it too much. One other person saying we like it too much. Which is it? You know, pick your side here, because you know you're not helping us out at all. It's like all we're doing is trying to be honest about it. It has such merits. It has things about it that are obviously stupid as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in the end, it's a mixed bag at best, but it didn't do anything to help the franchise, so it doesn't matter. So, you know, not to bring Star Wars into this shit again, but yeah.
Well, no, it's the same type of stuff I'm noticing when I'm trying to review something. Like I had pretty much the same reaction you guys did, pretty similar. I gave Star Wars about a 6 out of 10 when I watched it, and I was back in my gaming days when I was just talking about movies and stuff back then. And yeah, it sours over time, and it makes The Force Awakens worse. And I think I was a lot easier on it because I had just come off of Star Trek Discovery. And a lot of people don't realize that if you're watching something so incredibly horrible, you're going to be easier on something else that isn't quite as bad in comparison, too.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Like watching Doctor Who after that whole Star Trek Discovery panel thing probably helped my Doctor Who review quite a bit. I fucking hated Last Jedi. I did a review with my co-host at the time, and we were a very small channel at the time, so I think we had like 400 subs when it came out, and he liked it and I didn't, so we did a little debate, and it was friendly, and I've known him for years, so we were able to do it friendly. But as I had a fucking headache when I walked out of that movie. I was so pissed. I just could not believe it, because I didn't like Force Awakens either, but I was kind of hoping. I thought the trailer looked pretty good. I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Okay, I'll just forget Han's dead. I'll try to get over that. The movie looks very red, and it looks like we're going to see something with Luke Skywalker. And then when I started figuring out that he's just going to be an old man on the island, oh man, my headache kicked in. I got out of that. I was fucking mad as hell. I fucked that movie.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi retroactively makes me not like The Force Awakens.
Oh yeah,
I will give it that. We got a question in here that actually, Gary, you might be have an answer to, because I think you actually have some ties to this in a weird way, because I thought I remember you talking about it. Eric just wants to know, question, what do you think of the new trailer for The Boys? I have not seen it yet.
I love it, but I am totally biased because I'm actually drawn in that comic book. I'm actually my good friend. It was an artist and co-creator of it, so I will be I'm going to be terrible because it's the greatest thing ever. You should all watch it. Sign up for Prime, buy everything involved, and you help my friend Derek because he's a good guy. But and he drew me in the comic book. But no, it's actually a really fun comic book series, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime, and it's done by Seth Rogen's production company. He's actually pretty good, guys. I know you might not like him in the movies or like his act on Twitter, but
I don't have an issue with him. But
I don't either. Listen, he did a great job on Preacher season 1. He's going to take that over to Amazon with more money. We're gonna go full on Garth Ennis with no net. It's gonna be great. I'd sell it enough.
I figured you would. That's all right. I set you up for that, so that's all good.
Man.
So yeah, no, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really comment on it. Random.
What is Boys?
It's
Random,
a comic book.
You will love it because it is a comic book written by a guy who doesn't like superheroes. So it's superheroes in a world. In this world, superheroes are like out of fucking control. They're like out of control celebrities. And they're all run by they're corporate celebrity or corporate superhero celebrities, and they're all like they've all got like huge their skeletons have skeletons. Okay, they've all got drug problems or little kid problems, something very dark. So there's a group of humans who decide to band together and because they aren't going to take this shit anymore. And it's an organization that blackmails them, infiltrates them, takes care of them when they need to take care of them. Yeah. So it's a counteracting to all these. Just think of superheroes as celebrities, and they're all coked out of their minds and flying around, and they're killing people left and right, and accidentally, of course. But then they don't care. They get in these big battles in the city, and kill somebody's girlfriend or kill some kids, and they just fly away, and they're the hero, and the other person is left there with a dead family member. This is the kind of world it is. It's very cynical. So think of like a funny Watchmen.
Okay, I have no reference with the Watchmen, by the way. I'm the worst person. I don't know anything.
It's a parody. It's basically a parody on all superheroes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I do
Sounds interesting. No, and I have no issues with Seth Rogen. I'm not unaware of the fact that a lot of people do. That's kind of the way it is, and Rob's one of them. So, we even have one in the group. So,
Slithering Peanut says The Boys is just as bad as STD. Oh, hell no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. It's a parody. It's just a joke. It is out to kind of fuck with the superhero mythology, but it does it with the tongue in cheek. And you know what? The Venture Brothers and Tick do it in a much kinder fashion than The Boys does.
Right.
But Garth Ennis is not kind. He's also not kind to the Catholic religion in Preacher. But it's a parody.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Well, I think we took this on a little bit longer than we wanted to, but that's all right because we're having fun, and we always have fun with Gary when we can have him. Tell the folks out there what you got coming up on tonight, Gary. Do you have anything streaming over there on your channel on Nerdrodic?
I do. In about 38 minutes, we're going to be covering, if you guys binged it this weekend, The Man in the High Castle Season 3. And then later tonight, I'll be doing a recorded video kind of saying goodbye to The Gifted because we're not covering that show anymore because it's bad. That's it.
All right. Well, then I'll look forward to that. Check on Nerdrodic for that to start here in just over a half hour, and we'll have to give you a little time to collect yourself here. So we're going to wrap this up. Is there anywhere else you want to tell the people to find you out there on the interwebs, Gary?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You can find us the Nerdrodic channel. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what we do there. I really appreciate it. If like what we do there. We cover TV mostly and genre TV for the most part. We do everything live. We do everything long. So we do everything kind of wrong. But
not everything's that
check
long.
It out. Thanks, man.
You do a lot of great stuff over there. Really great quality. As you've heard tonight, if you haven't been on Nerdrodic yet, Gary's got all kinds of information packed into that brain of his. So check his channel out. Check out Random, of course, Mecha Random 42. Isn't that right?
Yeah, Mecha Random 42. Mary Ashby just linked my channel in the chat. I see. Thank you so much, Mary. And she also linked to Nerdrodic. I talk about a lot of stuff. I know probably more Star Trek and Babylon 5 sort of stuff and music than I know comic books for sure. But yeah. And I have Patreon, YouTube, Twitter. You can always find me online on Twitter, probably.
All right. And you can always find me here and on Midnight's Edge. And you can find me on Twitter at Thomas Connors Jr. And we want to thank you for joining us today. And at least 100 of you hung in there for most of the show. So we want to thank you for that. Thank you for the super chats, of course, as always. And we hope to catch you next time.